Have you ever just looked up at a giant skyscraper or been in a huge bustling city and thought, how in the world did this happen? I mean, for most of human history, we were just living in these tiny little groups, always moving around. So what changed? Let's jump back in time and find out.
So yeah, this is the big question, right? How do we go from that to this? We're going to dig into the secret recipe that let people build the amazing world we live in today. It's a really cool story about how we all learned to work together in massive numbers.
Well, the answer to that big question actually has a name. It's called a complex society. Now, I know, it sounds a little complicated, but it's a super helpful idea for understanding how civilizations get started. So let's break down what it really means.
Okay, think about it like a giant sports team. In a complex society, you have a ton of people, and not everyone is doing the same thing, right? Everyone has their own special job or role, and all those different roles work together to help the entire team, the entire society, win.
But before you can build a single building or have all those different jobs, one thing has to happen first. It's like the engine that powers everything else. And you know what? It all starts with food. So what is it? What's the #1 most critical ingredient you need to even begin building a civilization? This is the spark. This is the thing that lights the fire for everything else to come.
It's called a food surplus, and all that means is growing extra food. You know, more than just what you and your family need to eat. And here's why that is a total game changer. When you have extra food, not everyone has to be a farmer anymore. That surplus can feed other people who can then go and do all sorts of other amazing jobs. Okay, so once you have that food surplus, things start to get really interesting. Historians have found that there are 7 key ingredients, or you could call them building blocks, that pop up in all the great ancient civilizations. Let's check them out.
And here they are. Think of this as our official checklist. We've already got #1, our food surplus. Next up, we're talking cities, different jobs, social structures, and even writing. We're going to go through each of these and see how they all click together. So, that food surplus allows way more people to live together in one spot. Instead of little villages, you start getting cities. These are permanent, organized places where thousands, and I mean thousands, of people can live and work side by side. Now, when you get that many people together, the society starts to get organized into different groups, or what we call social classes. You might have powerful leaders like kings at the very top, then maybe priests and skilled workers in the middle, and then the farmers and laborers making up the biggest group at the bottom. And this one comes directly from that food surplus we keep talking about. With all that extra food, people can finally specialize. They can become an expert at just one thing, like building houses, or making pottery, or trading things. And when people specialize, the whole society gets way more productive. Okay, if you're going to keep a huge city from turning into total chaos, you need a rule book. That's where these systems of organization come in. You've got government to make the laws, religion to share common beliefs, and schools to pass knowledge down to the next generation. This is what happens when a society isn't just surviving anymore, but it's actually thriving. With all those specialized workers and good organization, people suddenly have the time and the resources to invent new technology, build incredible monuments, and create amazing art. These are the major achievements that we remember civilizations by. And last but not least, how do you keep track of everything? The laws, the history, who has what food? You need a system of record keeping. Now, at first, this might have just been telling stories, but eventually it leads to one of the most important inventions ever: writing. So there we have it, our 7 ingredients. Now let's see how they all cooked up together in a real place by looking at the world's very first complex society, ancient Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia was in a region called the Fertile Crescent, right between 2 huge rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Every single year, these rivers would flood and they'd leave behind this super rich soil that was just perfect for farming. And what does perfect soil for farming get you? You got it, a massive food surplus.
Now this didn't happen overnight, not even close. This was a really long process. People started farming around 10,000 years ago, but it took thousands of years for those little farming villages to grow into the world's first cities, and then, even later, the first empires. All right, let's run Mesopotamia through our checklist. Did they have a food surplus? Oh yeah, thanks to those rivers. Huge cities? Yep, places like Ur and Babylon. Social classes, with kings and priests? Check. Specialized jobs like builders and traders? Absolutely. Systems of government and religion? You bet. Major achievements like inventing the wheel and building huge temples called ziggurats? Yes. And a system of record keeping, they invented one of the first writing systems ever, called cuneiform. Mesopotamia checks every single box. It's a perfect example.
Okay, so that's all pretty cool, but why should we care about some civilization from thousands of years ago? Well, it turns out the lessons from these first complex societies are still incredibly important for us today.
Here's the big takeaway. When people come together and organize themselves, we can do things that would be absolutely impossible for small groups. I mean, from building the ancient pyramids all the way to exploring outer space today, our greatest achievements happen when we work together in complex societies.
So remember these 7 building blocks. They really are the fundamental ingredients that have allowed humans to build civilizations for thousands and thousands of years, and guess what? They are still at work all around us.
And that brings us to my final question for you. Just look around your own community, your own town or city. What examples of these 7 building blocks can you spot in your own life? Think about it. You're living in a complex society right now. Thanks for joining me on this journey.